because Instagram does the most. There we go. All right, so we are live, good people. So this is Ryan and Jenkins of Crown by Nichele podcast, and today we have another awesome, dope episode. I am your author, your spoken word artist, your mentor, your coach, it's so much more, but that is not important right now because my guest who I have on with me, I don't even know how me and Dee met. I felt like it was through social media, and then through social media, we knew mutual people. I don't think we're related.
I think that's what we found out, that we were related.
Okay, so we'll figure that out at some point. But we found out we knew mutual people from Edisto Island. Look up to my mom's hometown and all my cousins out there. And I'm gonna say all my cousins. Most of my cousins live in North Charleston. So let me not even act like that. So, but I have followed her. I don't know if you remember this, but one year I invited you to come speak to my girls. Well, we had like a breakfast at Kiki's, and you met with girls who were interested in realty. So we had that, and just following her in her journey. And immediately when I was thinking of hosts, God brought her to my remembrance because she had shared some things through social media, her trials, her tribulations, things she has been through, but to see her on the other side of that is truly a blessing. So this is why this episode is called Storms and Rainbows. So unlike normal weather, you have thunderstorms, but you don't always see a rainbow. It's like when people see rainbows, they're in awe. They're like, oh my goodness, because they're shocked that it even happened. But the reality is when you are in the promises of God and when you are kept by God, you are going to see a rainbow after every storm. So she is a realtor. What do you not do? From the trying on the clothes. Are you like a brand ambassador for Target?
Not yet, but then
we're speaking that into existence then. So between her and her sister trying on clothes, and then her very funny videos, the clothing line with the clothes, is that still going on?
Yeah, unrestricted. I closed that on the beginning of last year.
So it's like if you hear her story and some of the things I'm telling you now, you're like, what? So is there anything else you want to add to your intro, Dee?
Mother, wife, those are pretty big deals to me. So
yes. So one of the things again, I wanted to start with was, what were some of the storms? You don't have to go into all of them, but I remember you talking about with your, I want to say you went through a foreclosure. Okay. And, okay. So what were some of the storms you went through and what helped you get through them?
Okay. I went through a couple, but I think the ones I speak about the most are the bankruptcy and the foreclosure. And all of that came about from really just not being financially educated or even prepared for home ownership, which is why I teach that today to the people who listen to me or come to me for help in buying a home. But I bought a home, my first home in 2007, because I saw all my other friends buying a home, single mothers, and that inspired me. And I'm like, oh, if they can do it, I know I can do it. So, I ended up being able to get pre-approved, but I went into this home with no savings, no financial literacy. I didn't know how to save money. I didn't know how to budget. I didn't know how to spend money responsibly. And before I knew it, I was deep in debt, in trouble, and found myself behind on my mortgage. And so I had the option at behind on a couple of things. And so the guy I was dating at the time was like, well, you should consider filing bankruptcy. Never thought about it. Cause I'm like, black people don't file bankruptcy. In my mind, I'm like, black people don't do that. But I ended up meeting with the attorney and I filed bankruptcy. I think it was chapter, I can't remember which one. I think it was whichever one. They garnish your check. They consolidate your debt.
Okay.
They take money from your check to pay those debts. But that wasn't going to work because now I really don't have money to pay. I still had to pay my mortgage and all the other things. So I ended up filing complete liquidation and turning my car in, moving back in with my mother, letting my house go. And that was maybe when I really felt like, okay, this is what rock bottom feels like. And so that was in 2012. And so from 2012 up until 2016, I spent time just crawling, clawing myself back up from rock bottom. But yeah.
So when you say crawling yourself up, and I hope I didn't cut you off when I did, I apologize. When you say crawling yourself up, what were some things you had to do? Well, let me go back. Was there ever a moment when you felt like, okay, this is it and I'm done? Or was it something that, or if you did face that moment, what was it that told you, nah, you're not?
I did feel, so when I think that moment when they came, because my car got repossessed before I sent it back. So when that happened, that was scary. And I was like, I think, I've always been, for lack of a better term, broke, because, I was a single mother, had my daughter when I was 18. So I've always been struggling, but I'd never been in that space. And so it was scary, and it was not something I saw myself getting out of. And then I'm grateful because I have always had a strong support system. Like my sister and her husband and my family, my dad, everyone has always had my back. So I never felt like I couldn't get out of it. And at that time, I didn't even have a relationship with God, but I also knew that I could call on him, because when they came and got my car, I was like, God, I don't understand. Like, I'm talking to him. You know how we always go to him when things are wrong. So I found myself going to God when things are wrong. And every time something seemed like this is it, he showed me that, nah, you had to go here. I had to take you here so that I can start and build you back up to where I know I'm taking you. And so it really was, it's crazy to say, even though he got me out of that, like once I moved back in with my mom, I stayed with her for a few months, but I can't live with my mama. I love my mama, but I can't live with my mama. I ended up getting an apartment. I had no credit, so I had to get an apartment in my sister's name, and thank God for that. And so for the longest time, I had to live off of my sister's name in order to just be able to provide for me and my daughter, which is a blessing. You know, people won't do that for you, but I was grateful, to be able to have her there. So once I did that, it wasn't until 2015 where once my daughter graduated from high school and went to college, where I started really saying, okay, this is your time to shine. Like I don't know if I consciously made a decision when I had my daughter at 18 that I was just gonna focus on raising her. But that's what I did. So all the dreams I had, and I tried to like get my foot wet every now and then, but fear always kept me back, because what if it failed and then I can't take care of her? So once she graduated, that was my opportunity to say, okay, now you can do all the things you sat in that cubicle dreaming about. I hope I answered your question. I think you said
you more than answered my question, but it also brought up another question. So you said it was always fear. Again, how did you overcome that fear, or do you feel like the fear is still there and you just do life without it?
I do it. I fear forward. Like my motto is fear forward. The fear is there. The fear will pause. Like I will pause every now and then. Like if I get an idea, fear keeps me from like moving headstrong. Like there's full force in it, right?
Okay.
But it never stops me. I just operate around it. Like I'm afraid, and I tell people, they're like, you don't look like you're afraid. Every time you see me do something, I am doing it afraid. Every single time. Before you see me click a video to post on Instagram, I am afraid to post it.
And I'm laughing because I don't see that. I do not see that at all.
Listen, every time I will sit on video, I have a video I need to post right now. It's going to take me I'm not going to post this tomorrow because I'm past my posting time, but I'm telling you, every time before I hit post, there is this fear there. But I'm gonna just do it anyway. Like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, yeah.
That's my mind. Like, that's how I think. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, I feel like God has blessed me in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
No, 15. After
Mm-hmm.
my daughter I dropped her off to college. I'm sitting on my couch, like, okay, what am I gonna do? Like, I know I don't want to be in this cubicle for the rest of my life. I'm
Mm.
miserable. I don't want to be here. I'm broke. Like, this is not what I want. And I'm sitting on the couch literally, and I hear a voice say, go to real estate school. And right, I know
Mm.
it wasn't me because I'm not that smart. Like,
Wow.
I know I couldn't have come up with that by myself because it wasn't anything I ever thought of. And so I literally looked around like, what? And so I called my brother-in-law, who was a realtor at the time. And I was like, I think I'm going to go to real estate school. And he was like, I think you should. And I went. That was a Saturday. That Monday, I went. I made my account negative. I don't know if you still can, but at the time you could withdraw money from your account.
Oh
I made
yeah. Oh yeah.
I made my account. I withdrew $375 from my account. Went down to the school. Like, I already knew what I researched what school I was going to go to, and I enrolled in the class. And I took the test. Well, I failed the first 2 times. It's okay. And then I went back. I want people to understand, you take that real estate exam, it is hard. It
Mm-hmm.
is hard. I'm not a test taker. I'm not a studier. I don't like school. But I was
Mm-hmm.
like, this is something I have to accomplish because I know that this wasn't my idea. So I got to see this thing through.
And I
Um,
like how you said that because as a former educator, it trips me out when kids are quick to give up when they fail. And it was like, no, it just showed us what we need to work on. And
yep.
you just got to push through. So I like how you said, yeah, I failed it twice, but I realized I got to see this thing through, but this is what I need.
And the funny thing is, I did give up. So
Mm.
I took the class at the end of 2015. I
Mhm.
took the test in January of 2016. I failed both parts. There's a state and a national. Failed both parts. Went back the next week, took it again, passed the state, failed the national. I was like, I'm not. Maybe you know what? I'm just going to sit in this cubicle for 30 years, get my good check, every 2 weeks, get my, what do you call it? My insurance. And that's going to be
Mhm.
it. And then that March, so crazy. That March, my granddaddy he got diagnosed with cancer.
Mhm.
And it was like April. We found out that he wasn't going to, there wasn't anything he can do for him. So that day that we went down to see him, you know, I went to spend the night with him in the hospital. The very next day, I get a call from my stepdad. He had a heart attack. So now
Mm.
two of the most important men in my life that have been there for me since a baby, I'm risking, and this is the first time I've lost anybody that I care about, like anybody
Gotcha.
that's close to me. And so I'm like, wait, death is real? Like, this is my first time dealing with that. So my granddaddy
Mhm.
died, and I had to move back home for about a month to take care of my father. And so
Mm.
that really opened up things for me because I'm like, wait, I'm not gonna be here. Like, you in your mind, you think you're gonna live forever. You don't
Yeah.
really think about death and the fact
Mhm.
that, so when I saw my grandfather is no longer here, and like he was literally just here and now he's gone, like
Mm.
that woke me up. And I'm like, so what are you gonna do with your time here, Dee? Like, you really gonna sit in this cubicle and be
Wow. Mm.
knowing that the end result is that one day you're not going to be here. And so when I got
Wow.
back to Columbia, and that I came back to Columbia like the end of May, June. I did my time of mourning my granddad, and then in September of that year, I went back and took that test again, and I passed. And I was so happy because it was the first time I ever completed and accomplished something. I've gone
Mm.
to several colleges, Ryan. Ryan, I'm talking eight. I've got thousands of dollars in student loans because I was told I had to go to college to be
Mm.
successful. And So I'm just hopping from college to college to college. Like now this money working for me. I have commitment issues. You see, we talked about this before we came on with the wallpaper. And so I was like, eventually when that happened, I was like, I really finished something. Finished something that I wanted to do for me. And that was September of 2016. I quit my job the day before my 39th birthday of 2017. Yeah. I was like, I can do this. Sold one house. I can do this.
So do you believe that was like from the time you passed that exam, it's been nothing holding you back, no limitations. You've just been full steam. So please tell people, now we already heard one of the rainbows. You passed the real estate exam. You've been doing real estate since then. If you are not already following her on social media, please follow her. And I will make sure I tag her when I repost the video bits, but please see the awesome things that she is doing. So besides real estate, what were the other rainbows that manifested after the storms you just shared with us?
I think it's important to note this. When I was in the cubicle, I prayed, God, I just want to be able to make money doing the things that I love to do and being just based off of who I am. Like that was my prayer. And so when I quit my job and went full-time in real estate, I wrote a book. It's like all the things that I dreamt about in the cubicle was like, let's just do them. I wrote a book, started a t-shirt line, started a clothing boutique. I hosted events. Now I'm influencing. It was something I've always wanted to do, but I didn't know it was influencing at the time. Like I just like showing up and just being myself and sharing things. I didn't know years later when they were like, you're an influencer. They put a term to it. But this new realm of influencing that has just not out of nowhere, I know it's all God's plan, but it was kind of like he just seeing how he put me through all the things I needed to do for this part that he prepared me for. And so I feel like real estate was the vehicle to get me to the true purpose of my greatest desire is just to influence women who went through similar things and just remind, just for them to look at it and be like, you know what? So she went through this and she made it out okay, more than okay. And, being able to tell them that you're going to be fine. There's just some things you have to do. You can't just pray. You got to put some work.
Yeah, work up. Yeah.
You got to work, and you got to be able to show God that he can trust you with the vision. And I've seen before I quit my job, before he told me in 2015 to go to real estate school, looking back now, all the things that he had me doing up until, it was just with him depositing little things, because he knows me. I'm not the type you can't give me the whole picture.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to really sit me down. I'm like, wait a minute now, hold on, buddy. You can't give me the whole picture. So he knows he's got to give me on the job training. Right? I call it OTJ. He's giving me on the job training. I'm talking from the boutique. Like the boutique and everything I did for the boutique was preparing me for what I'm doing with the influencing, with the fashion influencing. Like it's a breeze to me because he already had me doing it. You see? So it's just.
And you talk about on the job training. I think he does that to everyone. If you're open to it and you're willing to receive it, because he doesn't want you to fumble the blessing. He doesn't want you to jack it up. And something my bishop always reminds us of, that he said he wants to bless us that there is no sorrow. So if I want to make sure there's no sorrow attached to this, then I need to make sure you're prepared and equipped. Because I need you to show other people what I can do if you just let me do it.
That part.
Oh my gosh.
Let me do it.
Yes. So what other rainbows? I don't want to give you what I'm thinking about, but I want to see where you're going to go. What other rainbows?
Let's see. I got married. Is that it?
That's one of them. Yeah. I'm still believing
Yeah.
Jesus, y'all. But
No,
yes. But I
that
remember some of the frustrations you, because again I follow her on social media. I remember some of the frustrations she would share. So
yeah,
when he popped the question, I was like, yes, like that is.
it's crazy because I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you know this, but we were best friends since we were in middle school.
Yeah, you shared that.
Yeah, and so I think I have be prior to allowing myself to love, because
Mm-hmm.
that was a storm. Like,
Yeah.
I looked at other people's relationships and the things that they went through and immediately assumed that that was going to happen to me. And so for a long time, I was like, nah, I don't, I'm not going to get got. I'm going to get you before you get me. That
Wow.
was my mindset from the time I was small, because my mom, dealt with a lot with my dad, stepping out in the marriage. And then I've seen friends and I'm like, y'all are not going to get me. So I went for the longest time. I have been single more than I was in relationships my whole adult life, because you're not gonna get me. so
Wow.
so when he expressed back in middle school, I'm talking like middle school, high school, this man is expressing himself to me, and I'm like, no, but you're like, he was the purest male friendship or relationship that I had,
Wow.
and like, I don't want to. I know I'm not where I need to be a good person to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not. If we go here and I mess this up, then we're never going to talk again. I don't want to risk that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so we went on years, just being friends, but still knowing that he was like a very important person to me, but too important for me to go there. And then,
Wow.
in 2021, I actually went on a solo trip, my very first solo trip by myself. And we were talking, and I was like, you should download WhatsApp and talk, so we can chat while I'm there. And so we
Mm-hmm.
chatted the whole time I was there. And when I came back, he was like, listen, I want to have a grown man conversation with you. And I was like, okay. It's like, I have loved you since I saw you get off the bus at blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
Wow.
that moment, like, I was like, girl, get out of your own way. And I was like, okay. And he was like, I just want you to let me show you that, I
Mm-hmm.
can be who you need me to be. And I was like, okay. And honey, from there, it was like, I kick myself, because this is 30 years, 27 years, really, 27 years of foolery that I put up with. And all along,
He was right there.
it was right there.
Did
Right there.
did he ever get married prior to y'all getting married?
Yeah, I went to his wedding.
Wow.
I went to his wedding and watched him marry someone else. And, but at the
You didn't
time,
know.
it was kind of like, oh, he's really getting married. Like, I didn't see that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
everybody get married, but he did. He got married, and eventually they ended up getting divorced.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's like, "This your fault. This your fault. This is
Oh
all
my
your fault."
gosh.
And I keep reminding him, I had to grow. I was like, the person
Yeah.
today is the best version I have ever been. So you should really be grateful that I saved you from who I was.
Oh my gosh. That's a testament to what really God has for you is for you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you're willing to put the work in, you're willing to be open, what God has for you, that will come back around when you're ready. Like as much as I want to knock, because I just turned 44 a few weeks
Mhm.
ago.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I'm just like, Jesus. But then when I really sit down and reflect on it, I realize that I really wasn't open to love. I said I was, but it's hard to see love through a broken glass. If that makes
It is. It is. Because I'm telling you, like, I went into every relationship that I can't even call them relationships, situationship, that I'm going
sense.
I'm gonna get all I can get. Like, let me make sure that you're all in before I get in. So I take you
Mhm.
to the ringer, And then when I'm ready to get in, you're fed up. So now you acting a fool, and now I gotta act a fool, and now we acting a fool together. So really, what are we doing here? So, and that was the cycle. That was the cycle for years. And then finally, I went to church. I can't remember what church I went to. I went to Ford City, and the pastor said something about taking on people's experiences as your own. And then all this time, I'm holding on to what I saw my mama go through for all these years, and I took that on like they gonna do this to me. So I got like every last relationship. I had to go to therapy. I went to therapy, and I had to talk it through. And then finally, I was like, okay, I'm gonna allow myself. And I think that's another reason why I was so open when he came and said he wanted to have a grown man talk with me. Like, I opened myself up to love and being loved. Like, I'm not afraid. I'm not going to sit there and be afraid of this anymore. So, yeah,
there were so many gems you just dropped there. Number one, honing on someone else's experience, even though that was not yours. Taking on something that was not, which I'll admit that was part of the reason why I was afraid of marriage. Even though I wanted marriage, a part of me was apprehensive due to what I witnessed, I'll admit, with my parents. But it was one of those things where also just being willing to say, like, I realized because I was broken, and because some other things that, of course, I will share another time, I realized I was the opposite, where I would completely pour myself into someone who did not even have the capacity to even be filled.
Really?
And then someone who came to fill me, because I'm broken, what you're pouring is going straight through.
Yep.
So just like, Ryan, what are we doing? So like when people used to come to me and say, well, why aren't you married? I say, because I haven't met anyone. And God one day told me, you have. You just weren't ready. You were not ready. And I was like, really? Like,
I'm sorry. Oh, wow.
So it's just one of those things where I truly believe, now I might be wrong, Jesus can tell me otherwise, but I really feel like I'm at a better place too now.
Yeah.
And then being my son, he went off to school this year. I pivoted out the classroom, doing some different things professionally. Okay. This will be a nice time, but we'll see what he has in store. But I know I'm definitely going through what my pastor's like a reset period, where just calibrating, getting myself in a better place, and just really truly loving myself.
Yeah.
In every essence of the word. So what encouragement, were you gonna say something? My bad.
I was gonna say, I think going back to the pandemic, like 2020 was like, even though it was a hard time for the world, but I really took that time. Like, that's when I started therapy. That's when I really like sat with myself and was like, okay. Like, I've always kind of been okay being by myself, but really when you just have the time to sit and really reflect, and that to me, I think jump started the reset. And I am no, like, when I tell you, I don't even remember that person. Like, I'm not that person I was prior to 2020.
That is beautiful.
And, well, another thing people don't understand is, like, change is necessary. Like, a lot of people don't want to change. Like, changing scares them. And sometimes changing may look like a whole new circle, right? Like, sometimes the people that you have been friends with forever and a day can't come. Like, and so, like, when I think has changed, and it started with shedding not only the things that were holding me back mentally, but also people that weren't helping me to elevate to the next level, if that makes sense. Like, I'm talking about friends. It looks like friends who you say you want to do something, and they're like, well, why you want to do that? But you try to do too much. Well, what you want to do that for? Well, no. Today I got friends that say, oh, you want to do that? Well, let me show you. Let me connect you with who you need to talk to. Let me see help you. Like,
exactly
that I have now. And I'm so grateful, like, so grateful for the people that I'm surrounded with right now, because I know that I would not be where I am, and I'm not going to get where I'm going if I had the same outlook and the same circle that before. So you got to change. You can't be afraid to change. You cannot.
And that's the crazy thing. You're afraid of, some people are afraid of change, but don't want to change, but you complain about being unhappy, which is insanity. Or you need to change, but you keep doing the same thing, expecting different results, which is another form of insanity. Like I don't understand it. So it's just like when you get to that place, especially as a single woman as I am now, where you're like, I'm good. If you don't have it, I'm good. My couch is very comfortable. TV, Netflix, I am good until I meet whoever. Because it's just one of those things. And even like financially, when you said you had people in your network, you had people in your family, your support group that helped you get through, and then having better, like when did it find, like what were some of those things you went to that help you get it together financially? Like what were some tools that you use, some resources that you use to get your foot on solid rock, if that makes sense?
Crazy thing is my sister-in-law. So when my daughter went to college in 2015, maybe at the beginning of 2016, I asked my sister-in-law, she's really great with money. And I'm like, I need a budget. Like, I'm not the type of person that you can say read something and then I'll just know to apply. If you break it down and you say do this, do that, you got me off. And so that's what she did. Like she took my income and my bills and she literally created a budget that told me how to pay certain things and when to pay certain things. And even built in savings, pay your savings. So all my money was allocated. Like whenever I budget money, there's zero because all my money has nowhere to go. Yeah. And so when she did that for me, and for the first time in my life, I had a savings. That savings is actually what gave me the confidence to quit my job. And so, and I think again, I really feel like God is he's so intentional because had he not done that to where I could see, like I could feel comfortable enough to walk away from income because I had a few months, and literally it wasn't a lot. I had like 3 months saved of rent. I was like, shoot, well, I got 3 months to make this work.
Yeah.
And also I need to say this too. Not only that, this doesn't happen when people enter real estate. Like you don't enter real estate and just have business handed to you. That doesn't happen. And so when I quit my job, my brother-in-law actually bought 16 properties in the neighborhood that he was going to flip it and resell. So for my first year of real estate, I didn't have to look for any business. I literally had business handed to me. That's like God set it up to like, I know where I'm taking you. I can't have you looking back. I can't have you regretting nothing. So I'm gonna make sure you're gonna be okay. And for the last 7 years that I've been in this industry, he has made sure I'm more than okay. More than okay. But it started with I need to get things in order. And the first thing I needed in order was my money.
Yeah.
One thing I struggled with and I saw my mom struggle with. And so I had to see I had to tell myself, this isn't normal. Being broke is not normal.
No.
It's not normal. But when you've been sitting in this situation for so long, it becomes your normal. But you deserve a new normal.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm going to tell myself. You deserve a new normal. You deserve to do something different. And so, I mean, I didn't go in any programs. I really was just asking for help. I was asking for help. And I actually have a budget breakdown of the exact same way she broke it down for me. And I don't mind sharing it if anybody wants it. Because it saved me. It really did.
So I see Kyle Green, his comment came in at 8:16. I missed that. He said he's locked in. So, but and I'm gonna see it on Instagram because Instagram is weird. It won't show up on my feed, but I see people are there. So, hey to all
Hey,
y'all. And then I went live on my TikTok. If y'all definitely have any questions, definitely put them in the comments. I will answer them. I don't know who this. I think that's Rylan. I used to teach her. She keeps waving at me, so I finally waved back. But the whole purpose of me doing this podcast is I love watching the journey. Like one of the things I always get very elated about is when you see people in the beginning and you see the struggles and you see them go through it and you see what's afterwards. And it's all just another testament of God's goodness and God's faithfulness and how He will make sure that you are rewarded, because there is a scripture that says these afflictions will not compare to the glory that shall be revealed, which means you're going to receive a glory that's going to make you not like, I remember you said at one point, Dee, you don't even remember that person you were then compared to who you are now. That's that glory. And that's the whole reason for me bringing you on this show, because I know there are other people like me and you. We really have a very similar story. I went through a foreclosure. I went through a repossession. It was crazy financially, to the point the IRS, the South Carolina state tax was all up in my check.
what?
Student loans was all up in my check. Like it was really like I garnish.
Yeah.
It was bad, and it was like me trying to figure things out, and I'll admit I'm still trying to figure things out, but I'm definitely in a much better place than I was before. But it's a testimony, because there is someone out there who is struggling, and you really think this is it. Like I will never forget. I will never ever forget. Living in Charlotte, Joshua was born in June. I lived temporarily in Columbia with my mom, transitioning into motherhood. And I remember moving back to Charlotte, and somewhere in between that time, between the time I moved back to Charlotte to the time I end up moving back home, I contemplated suicide. And it was just like I said, if I take myself out, I have insurance, Josh will be taken care of. And then God gave me a poem, I must live for. And I just wrote out, I must live for. And I talked about my dad, I talked about my mom, I talked about my brother, I talked about my sister, I talked about Joshua, I talked about my students. And it was God's way of showing me how, no, this is not the end of this. Because I eventually was struggling. Single mom on my own for the first time, living on my own, and it's just I could not breathe, and God made a way, and I was able to move back home. And just like you, when you said you moved into your home, I feel like when I moved into my first home, it was like, well, everybody else get in the house, I want a house too. Now realizing, do you have a savings? Are you financially sound that if something goes wrong, you can keep your house?
Exactly.
And it's like
one thing could bankrupt you. One little wrong thing, like HVAC goes out, savings gone. Like so many things. Look at it. I'm sorry.
And no, you're fine. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. And although we do believe in having your own house and having real estate, you definitely have to make sure financially. I was sharing with Dee, I got to get something repaired in my house. And I'm just like, Jesus, I don't want to deal with this, but it's my house. Right. And I have to pay for that. And thankfully, I have a means to take care of it. But it's just one of those things where don't think that the bottom is forever yours, or that there's no way to get out. If you really trust and believe in God, He has a way of, like how she said she had a circle. I know I had a circle of people that helped me get where I needed to go. From my church, she said her church and her relationship with God, those things. And she even mentioned therapy. I know I'm still in the search for a therapist myself, but therapy, a lot of people don't think about that. Sometimes we have to get out of some things, some old habits, some old traditions that was ingrained in us, that we're like, you know what? I don't want that life anymore. I want whatever God has for me, which is the best, abundant, prosperous, overflowing, blessed life ever. And it's very possible.
It is. It is. And I was sharing on my stories today about life being an opportunity. Like this, every morning I wake up and I say, God, thank you for this opportunity, because this is a gift. Like there's no rock bottom. There's no, I can't think of anything greater than being in this world and being able to live it out
Yeah.
however, like whatever he has. Like right now, like I just want to see where am I going to end up? Like that is so exciting. It's bigger than the fear that is with me all the time. Like that's nothing. Opportunity to see where I'm going to end when he comes to get me, whatever day that is. Where am I going to be? Like when he comes and he's like, okay, let me see what you did, and I can say I did this, I did that. Like
Yeah.
just following and worrying and stressed out and fearful and just nah. It's an opportunity that I won't take for granted anymore. Like because I took it for granted for 38 years. The 39th year is when I decided to take advantage of this opportunity. And that's when I quit my job, and I've just been just riding it. Like I'm just trying to see where I'm gonna be.
And you may have said this, but I just want to reiterate this. What made you say, because you could have stayed at your job, you could have stayed in the cubicle. What made you say, you know what, I'm done? Because I'm pretty sure there was a reason why you stayed there for as long as you did. What was that thing that finally said, you know what, let me go take this real estate exam?
Well, it was two things. When my father had the heart attack and I needed to go home to take care of him, and I was told that I couldn't, but other people could go and work from home, but I can't. And I've always had a problem with that's how I know I can't work for people, because I have a problem with somebody telling me what I can't do. I can't do something, I'm gonna do it to show you that I can do it. Like that's, if you want me to do something, tell me I can't do it. And I tell people that all the time. That's the way to get me to do something, is tell me I can't do it. And so I ended up having to go high up to be able to get permission to go take care of my father.
Wow.
And so that was one thing that was kind of like, nah, y'all ain't about to play with me like this. And then when my grandfather died, and really realizing that this is real, like you are not going to be here forever. Those were the things that really showed me that I had to start living and taking advantage of the opportunity that God has given me.
Wow.
Those things.
And I had you bring that up again because what surprises me, and I actually made a TikTok post about this today, the number of people that despise their job. And I'm just like, what? And I granted, did I have problems with teaching? Yes, but ultimately I really did enjoy teaching. But it amazed me the number of coworkers I came across, and I always heard you complain more than rejoice in the fact that you're working with these kids and that they're not knuckleheads and they're not good for nothings. Like I didn't understand that. And I remember what made me post the thing was it's a meme that was going around with the young lady who was like screaming, but she wasn't screaming. And yeah, but she's screaming, but she's not screaming. She's like, ah, but she's like, she can't scream too loud. And the caption was teachers every Sunday. And I was like, if this is you every Sunday, maybe this is not the profession for you.
Listen, that was me. Like every Sunday, I literally got depressed. Like, oh my God, I gotta walk in this building. And let me tell you why. And I think I said this already. I started working, like when I had my daughter, I did what I saw my mama do: go to work. You gotta work, take care of the child. And then I saw my dad is telling me you gotta get a college degree to be successful. So that's what I did for all those years up until, so I went to school for broadcast journalism. Well, my last school that I went to, USC, went to like 8 different ones. Okay. USC. Went to school of broadcast journalism, which is really what I've always wanted to be on TV. Like I feel like that's my ultimate job, television. And so I'm like, okay, I'm actually doing something that makes sense for who I want to be in my head. And so I'm in school and I'm just going to class. And then all of a sudden I run out of financial aid. Didn't even know that was a thing. Ran out of financial aid. So now I have to pay for school out of my pocket. I can't do that. So now I'm really stuck in this job. Now I really don't see any way out. And now I'm just like, how, like, I'm going to work late every day. If it's like today, if I was still working in this weather today, I was calling out. I'm not going to work when it's raining. I'm not going to work when it's raining. I'm taking PT. Like, it was torture to go. And I would just go and talk. Like, I would go to work to talk to my friends. That's how I made it through. And then finally, I was like, and my boss was like, Dee, okay, we know you're a social butterfly, but if you could just tone down on the talking, okay. And then I leave out of her office and go sit on my friend's desk and we chat until, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I can't believe I actually thought I could do this for 30 years. I've got to get out of here.
Oh my gosh.
I've got to.
And which is, I know, and I'm glad you share that story in detail, because I'm just amazed at the number of people that they were where you were. They're in positions they hated. They don't want to be there. I felt like our parents, not all of our parents, because I'll admit my mom loved what she did. My dad loved what she did. But I've heard stories of people being in positions for 30, 40 years to make it to retirement.
Yeah, no.
And they did not like the job at all. Like I refuse. So it's crazy to me. And one thing I definitely want to reiterate, something else you said, parents, stop sending your kids to school and they ain't got no money.
And now I got $50,000, $70,000 in student loans. And then had I known this when she graduated, I wouldn't have made her go to school. So now I got $1,000 in Parent Plus loans. And guess what? She's not using that degree. She graduated, but she's not using that degree. And guess who's got to pay that? Me. Because I told her what I was told. You got to go to college, girl. You got to go.
And that's a cycle we definitely have to break. Because I mean, it's nothing wrong. Like, I'll admit, me and my brother, both of our parents went to school. And it wasn't about, okay, if it was where are you going? And I'll admit, me and him, he didn't finish. I finished, but it took me forever. Like, I want to say I was a super, super senior by the time I graduated. But it was like, I realized I should have at least went to tech my first 2 years to save a whole lot of money, to make sure this is what I want to do. And it ended up working out for my favor. I ended up going to education and whatnot. It worked out. But I think the part that I've noticed, even teaching over these years, I used to teach this course called AVID, which is a college and preparedness course. So you'll ask the kids, well, what do you want to do? So they'll mention something like real estate. I would say real estate. So what do you want to do after high school? Oh, I want to go to college. I said, you realize you don't have to go to college to get your real estate license, right? Really? Well, I just want to, I said, you really don't. So what is it that you really want to do? And like, it's up to parents. Number one, parents, you can start as early as now applying for scholarships for your kids. Nevertheless, do not set your kids up for failure and set yourself up for failure. I'll admit, me and Joshua were extremely blessed, where there was some money saved aside, and then he qualified for so many scholarships, because I was on them grades since day one. So he's not paying nothing at USC. Nevertheless, me and my mom were on him, like, are you sure you want this? Because this money could be spent on something else, and we don't want to waste it. But he admits he wants this, even to the point, he texts me a text he was going to send to someone about an internship, and he was like, can you proofread this to make sure? I mean, he's just started, and he's already looking at internships. So I'm like, okay, so he is locked in. I get that.
Yeah.
So this is just, see what the kids want to do first, And if college is what they want to do, maybe send them to tech for the first 2 years if they don't have any money.
Yeah.
But if not, try to get them scholarships because it's not worth it. I remember when I first came out of college, my student loan payments were between $300 to $400 a month. That's not including my rent. That's not including my insurance, which at the time, North Carolina did not recognize if you were 25 or whatever. So I was paying almost $400 a month for insurance in North Carolina when I lived in Charlotte. Yeah, it was atrocious. So when my mom said, just come on home, I was like,
okay.
I tried to fight it, but it was like, nah.
I think parents should pay attention to their kids. Like my parents, knowing me in school,
they didn't see the signs.
They didn't see the signs that me in school, we don't. I come on now, come on. Do you need me to pull up my interim reports where they're like DRD doesn't come? Like, come on, like let's be clear here. This was not the path for D.
Yeah.
But, they're only being told what they thought needed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But then, and it's so funny when I quit my job, when I told my dad that I was going to quit my job, he was like, "Why don't you just, give it a year and then see?" I was like, "No," because he knew if it failed.
Yeah, that's what it was.
But I was like, no, I'm done listening to what y'all tell me to do. This is what I'm gonna do. Okay. And so now he's like, I was like, I remind him, I haven't asked you for anything in like 7-8 years. Like, just want to point that out there, buddy.
Yeah. And that was my mom. As a matter of fact, I knew by October of last year that last year was going to be my last year teaching. Wow. I didn't tell my mom till almost April or May of the next year because I already knew she didn't do. Love you, mommy. She didn't do normal barber fashion, but it was just like this look like. So how you gonna pay your bills?
Right.
Everything will work itself out. And because out of all my now that I think about, out of all my aunts, they worked till they retired. There was no such thing. And matter of fact, I was literally 7 years away of retiring. And I was like, God, are you sure? And he was like, yeah, this is your last year. And I get what he's doing. I didn't understand him when he told me. I did not understand. But over the course of the last, I would say it's 6 to 7 months, I've received peaks and glimpses and like, okay, I got you. So it is just up from here. But it's like when you hear God, you hear God. Yes, and sometimes our family, and not even family, it's just people did not hear what God told you. So it's hard for them to understand how you're moving.
That's okay. I'm gonna still move them. I don't care what you say, how you think, what you thought. That's good. I'm still moving.
Exactly.
Like, I had a conversation with my husband a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I really feel like I'm going to really put more into the influencing side of things because I see where this could go. And he was like, all right. And I was like, well, wow, that is such a blessing. He's so easygoing. Like, I keep telling him, if this was years ago and I came to you and say this, like, I can see you being like, nah, I don't trust you. But the person I am today, like that means you see my potential. Like,
exactly.
And you're in, like, you're all in. I'm like, I'm so grateful.
And that's why you have to be very careful who you partner with, because if you don't partner with the right person, if you don't marry the right person, they can jack up the flow.
They sure can. They sure can. He lets me be me, and I'm so grateful for that because I'm a lot. I could be a lot. I could be a lot. I'm grateful. I'm very grateful.
So I don't mean to be distracted, but my phone did something really stupid just now. And
Oh,
TikTok was like, we're not sure if you're still there. So put this puzzle piece together. Really, TikTok, stop tripping. So, but Kiwan says she totally understand that. I don't know what we said, but she's definitely one of those people. I definitely have to bring you on too, but she's one of those people who's out there just doing the
you want
doggone
Fitch?
thing.
Is that you want Fitch?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes. I
yes.
mean, I don't even know what is she not doing that
Right.
is, and that's boss moves. And I love how, even though I'm not in these people's phones or in their circle like that, but I'm in vicinities I can witness and watch and glean. And she's
Mhm.
definitely one of those people I have definitely gleaned from. Kyle is another one. You know Kyle Green?
I haven't met him in person, but I've seen him
Okay.
around.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
I remember what he was doing, and now he's going all over the country speaking. And
Wow.
his daughter was my first host because I taught his daughter in 7th grade. Uh,
Wow.
and we were just talking about the bond of teachers. But Kyle shared some things with me that night when he came and picked her up. And I'm just like, what? It's like when you avail yourself to what God has for you, that exceedingly and abundantly,
Yes. Yes.
yo, yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's
God is on it. God is on it. So I'll admit we are nearing the end of our time, but
oh,
is there any encouragement, Dee, you have for anyone who could possibly be where you were in that storm?
mm. I think if I could give just give yourself a chance. Like give yourself a chance to be who God put you here to be. And so
Mm,
like you know that there's something that you want to do and you could be doing, like just make one step to doing it. And that one step could be just researching something, get on Google, research something, right? And then maybe
mm.
tomorrow you take one more step. Like as long as you're taking steps, you don't have to run, but
Say
you
that.
if you
Please say that again. Please say
you
that
don't
again.
have to run. Like everything the last 7 years have been really small steps forward.
Mm.
That's it. That's it. And like just take I think people like you take a goal and you break it down in little chunks. That's it. Give yourself a chance to be who God put you here to be. Like take advantage of this opportunity. Like that's literally all I can tell you.
Mm.
There's more, but we don't have time.
Yeah, you're fine. And then again, it doesn't mean you're not going to have setbacks. It doesn't mean you're not going to encounter failures. Like Dee shared, she had to go through the real estate exam 3 times, but she
Failure
realized,
is research. Failure is research. I'm glad I failed because now I know, okay, that didn't work that time. So let me go ahead and try it this way. Okay, that works. So let me try a little bit more. That
that
didn't
could
work.
be a t-shirt.
It's
Failure is research.
yes. I'm glad to fail. I talk to people all the time. What if I fail? Good.
Because now I know how I need to learn. Like that's
I'm
that's
looking
that's gonna be a topic one day because I just like even how parents, and I know I'm going over my time, but it's okay. But I know like it bothered me. Like one child came to me upset because her mom went off on her because she got a D on the assignment. And I said that just means you didn't understand what I taught, and I need to reteach some things, and we need to work through it. That doesn't mean something's wrong with you.
right.
Long as
Right.
that D is not on that report card, we're good. It's just I need to figure out, fine tune, and we'll figure it out if it's tutoring or whatever. But
Yeah.
even our parents, they have to do good with, okay, it's okay if the child brings home a D on an assignment.
On
That
assignment.
means they need more help and again, more research to figure
Yeah.
out how can I improve? How can I do better? So,
Yeah.
y'all, this episode went better than I knew it was going to be good, but it's gooder than good. I
It's
just need the word. I know it is. So, but it's just number one, I hope one of y'all's biggest takeaway, if you are in the midst of a storm, please know that a rainbow will come if you trust God and believe. If
yes.
you put in the help, you again ask for help. One of the reasons why I admit that I didn't share earlier that I lost my first home is because I did not ask for help, because I was so prideful that I got this house. I felt like not really on my own merit, but I was able to do something some people didn't think I could do, and I lost it. And if I would have opened my mouth, my mom even admitted to me after she found out after the fact, if you would have told us, we would have banded together with the money and helped you save the house.
Wow, pride is something.
Yes, it was.
Man.
Yes, and my sister cousin was even like, "Are you serious? Like, as much as we talk, you didn't feel the need to share that with me." But again, it was pride. So again, do not be in your feelings and stuck there. Talk to someone, get help. As much as we're on social media, if it's not family, y'all can research and find out this stuff to get where you need to be. And because there's so much more in our life that God has for us. There's a purpose. You were born. There's a purpose. Point blank. Period.
Yes.
I don't care what background you came from. I don't care what your family did. You have a purpose that is to illuminate this world in some form, some fashion. And I hope that you find it. I hope that we gave you the inspiration to keep going. Stay tuned. Our next episode will not air until the 8th of October. That one is called Cultivating Greatness. That's going to be with my former student, Jaren, who Jaren planned my baby shower when he was a 6th grader.
What?
He was a 6th grader, and he was like, "Miss Jenkins, I need to plan your baby shower." And he is now a party decorator.
Oh, wow.
He just turned 30. And I just want him to share his journey and what he's been through. That's on October 8th. It's going to be pre-recorded, but it's going to air on October 8th. But on October 10th, that will be a live stream. And I am meeting with Calderon, who we're talking about leaving a legacy. We need to stop not having life insurance, knowing the difference between a will and a trust. Like, I'm realizing my mom taught me the will is good, but the trust is better. Yes. And medical power of attorney is a lot of things we're afraid to talk about because we're afraid we talk about it, our person's going to drop dead. No, it's called you want to be prepared that if something happens, we have things in place. So thank you so much. Dee, where can they follow you?
I have a good attorney that's doing the trust for my parents if you need an attorney.
Okay. Definitely. So I don't know who my mom is going through. So if not through her people, I'll definitely I'll contact you.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry, asking where you can find me.
Where could they find you?
I am on Instagram, TheeDee Reed, the Dee Reed. TikTok is Dee Reed Sisters. That's where we do our Target stuff, and on Instagram. And Facebook, Nichele Reed Smalls.
All right. Thank you so much. And y'all have a good night.
Bye, y'all.